Good evening, and welcome to Footnotes Folly. Tonight we do something this program has never done before. We set aside the chroniclers and the conquerors, and we open the oldest beginning anyone has ever tried to write down the first 3 chapters of Genesis. The making of the world, the planting of a garden, and the afternoon it all went wrong. We will read it in the Legacy Standard Bible, a careful modern translation, and I must say a word about that before a single verse is read. Every line of scripture you hear tonight is quoted by permission, and the people who keep that text deserve their due. So, the required notice, and then we begin. Scripture quotations taken from the Legacy Standard Bible, abbreviated LSB, copyright 2021 by the Lockman Foundation, used by permission, all rights reserved, managed in partnership with 316 Publishing. Now, Genesis means origin, beginning, the source of a thing. It is the book of first times, the first light, the first day, the first marriage, and the first grief. Read it slowly. It is short, and it is bottomless. Let us begin where it begins, which is, fittingly, before anything else exists at all.
In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters.
Notice how little fuss there is. No theogony, no war in heaven to explain where God came from, no rival gods to defeat. He simply is, and he simply makes. The Hebrew calls the earth tohu bohu, formless and void, a wonderful tumbling phrase for raw, unshaped potential. And over that chaos, the Spirit hovers, the way a bird broods over a nest. The world begins as something cherished.
Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning one day.
He speaks, and it is. That is the engine of the whole chapter. God said, and there was. 10 times in this chapter he speaks the world into being. And the first thing he makes is not the sun. It is light itself, light before there is any lamp to carry it. The ancients noticed that puzzle long before we did, and it is, I think, deliberate. The light does not depend on the sun. It depends on him.
Then God said, "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters." So God made the expanse and separated the waters which were below the expanse from the waters which were above the expanse, and it was so. And God called the expanse heaven. And there was evening, and there was morning, a second day.
The word translated expanse is rakia, something hammered out and spread thin, like beaten metal. To the first here is the sky was a gleaming vault holding back an ocean overhead, and you can feel that here. We need not turn it into a science lecture. The point is order. God is setting boundaries, making rooms, dividing the one undifferentiated deep into a place where life can one day stand up and breathe.
Then God said, "Let the waters below the heavens be gathered into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering of the waters he called seas, and God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the earth sprout vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit trees on the earth bearing fruit after their kind with seed in them." And it was so. And the earth brought forth vegetation, plants yielding seed after their kind, and trees bearing fruit with seed in them after their kind. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, a third day.
Here is a small phrase worth pocketing: after their kind. Plants yielding seed after their kind, trees bearing fruit after their kind. The world is not a smear, it comes in distinct, repeating, faithful patterns. An apple seed makes apples. There is a grammar to creation, a reliability, and that reliability is itself a kindness. You could not plant a field, or trust a season, in a world that did not keep its word.
Then God said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth." And it was so. So God made the 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and also the stars.
Now the sun and moon arrive, and notice the careful, almost polemical restraint. Every nation around Israel worshipped these as gods. Genesis will not even name them. They are simply the greater light and the lesser light, lamps hung up to keep time, servants, not sovereigns. It is one of the quietest and most radical sentences in the ancient world. The sun is a thing God made, and nothing more.
And God placed them in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth, and to rule the day and the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, a fourth day. Then God said, "Let the waters swarm with swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the face of the expanse of the heavens." And God created the great sea monsters and every living creature that moves, with which the waters swarmed after their kind, and every winged bird after its kind. And God saw that it was good.
The great sea monsters, the Tannin, get a special mention, and it is a little joke at the expense of the neighbors. In the surrounding myths, the sea dragons are terrors the gods must wrestle and kill to make the world. Here they are simply more of God's good handiwork, splashing about in a sea he made for them. The monsters are tamed by being, of all things, listed as creatures. Even the Leviathan is a pet.
Then God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let the birds multiply on the earth. And there was evening, and there was morning, a fifth day. Then God said, Let the earth bring forth living creatures after their kind, cattle and creeping things and beasts of the earth after their kind. And it was so. God made the beasts of the earth after their kind, and the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing of the ground after its kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, so that they will have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth.
Let us make men. After all the spoken commands, God pauses and deliberates, as if this one is different. And that plural, let us, has launched 1,000 sermons Christians have long heard in it the first faint whisper of the Trinity. Whatever else it means, the structure is clear. Everything else was made by command. The human being is made by counsel, on purpose, with care. You are not an afterthought.
And God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. God blessed them, and God said to them, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over every living thing that creeps on the earth.
Read that twice. In the image of God he created him, male and female he created them. In a world that reserved the divine image for kings and pharaohs, Genesis hands it to everyone, the farmer and the slave, the man and, pointedly, the woman, equally and together. This single verse is the headwater of every later claim that human beings have worth that cannot be earned and must not be bought.
Then God said, Behold, I have given to you every plant yielding seed that is on the surface of all the earth, and every tree which has the fruit of the tree yielding seed. It shall be food for you, and to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the sky, and to everything that creeps on the earth which is life, I have given every green plant for food. And it was so. And God saw all that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day.
Very good. Not merely functional, not merely finished, but good, and on the last day very good, a craftsman stepping back from the bench and being glad. Hold on to that word, because in 2 chapters something will break it, and the whole rest of the Bible is the long story of God getting that word back. For now the world is young, and it is good, and it is loved.
Thus the heavens and the earth were completed, and all their hosts. And on the seventh day God completed his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because on it he rested from all his work which God had created in making it.
And on the seventh day he rested. Not because he was tired, the maker of galaxies does not need a nap, but because rest is the crown of the work, not the collapse of it. He blesses a day and makes it holy simply by stopping. It is the first time anything is called holy in the Bible, and it is a Tuesday off, sanctified time, built into the world from the very beginning as a gift.
These are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created, in the day that Yahweh God made earth and heaven. Now no shrub of the field was yet in the earth, and no plant of the field had yet grown, for Yahweh God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was no man to cultivate the ground. But a stream would rise from the earth and water the whole surface of the ground.
Here the camera, so to speak, pulls in close. Chapter 1 was the whole cosmos in wide shot. Chapter 2 kneels down in the dirt of one particular garden. And here the divine name changes. It becomes Yahweh, the personal covenant name of God, which the Legacy Standard Bible prints in full rather than hiding behind capital letters. The God of the galaxies now has a name, and is about to get his hands dirty.
Then Yahweh God formed man of dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and so the man became a living being.
This is one of the tenderest sentences ever written. Yahweh God formed the man of dust. The word is Adam from Adama, the ground. He is, quite literally, an earthling. And then God leans down and breathes into the dust, mouth to nostrils, the way you would breathe life into someone you were trying to save. We are dust and breath, humble dirt and the very breath of God, and you cannot understand a human being without holding both of those at once.
And Yahweh God planted a garden in Eden, toward the east, and there he placed the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground Yahweh God caused to grow every tree that is desirable in appearance and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
2 trees stand in the middle of the garden, and you should mark them well, because the whole story is about to turn on them. The tree of life, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. One offers life as a gift to be received. The other offers knowledge to be seized. The garden is gorgeous, the fruit is endless, and right at the heart of all that generosity stands a single, quiet, fateful choice.
Now a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it divided and became 4 rivers. The name of the first is Pishon. It is the one that went around the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. Now the gold of that land is good. The bdellium and the onyx stone are there. And the name of the second river is Gihon. It is the one that went around the whole land of Cush. And the name of the third river is Tigris. It is the one that went east of Assar. And the fourth river is the Euphrates.
The 4 rivers are the storyteller's way of saying this was a real place on a real map. 2 of them, the Tigris and the Euphrates, you can still find in an atlas today. Eden is not once upon a time in a land far away. It is anchored, given coordinates, planted in the geography we actually live in. Whatever else paradise was, Genesis insists it had an address.
Then Yahweh God took the man and set him in the garden of Eden to cultivate it and keep it. And Yahweh God commanded the man, saying, From any tree of the garden you may surely eat, but from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat from it, for in the day that you eat from it you will surely die.
Before there is any rule against anything, there is work and there is freedom. He is put in the garden to cultivate and keep it. To labor is part of paradise, not part of the curse. And the single prohibition is wrapped in lavish permission. From any tree you may surely eat, only not that one. The fence is tiny and the meadow is enormous. Remember that proportion when the serpent tries to reverse it.
Then Yahweh God said, It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make him a helper suitable for him. And out of the ground Yahweh God had formed every beast of the field and every bird of the sky, and he brought each to the man to see what he would call it. And whatever the man called a living creature, that was its name. And the man gave names to all the cattle and to the birds of the sky and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helper suitable for him.
It is not good for the man to be alone. Stop and feel how startling that is. 7 times so far God has looked at his work and called it good. Here, for the first time, he names something not good, and it is solitude. The man names every animal and finds, in that whole glorious parade, no one who answers him. He is surrounded by creatures and still, achingly, alone. The word for helper, by the way, is Ezer, a word the Bible most often uses of God himself. No one is being demoted here.
So Yahweh God caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man, and he slept. Then he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh at that place. And Yahweh God fashioned the rib, which he had taken from the man, into a woman, and he brought her to the man. Then the man said, This one finally is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This one shall be called woman, because this one was taken out of man.
And the man, who has been so quiet, finally bursts into speech, and it comes out as poetry. This one, at last, is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. The first recorded human words are not a complaint or a command, they are a love song. There's a gentle pun underneath it too. She shall be called woman, Isha, because she was taken out of man, Ish. Not made from his head to rule him, the old teachers said, nor from his foot to be trampled, but from his side, to stand beside him.
Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother, and cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed.
Naked, and not ashamed. It is the last line of the world before the fall, and it is a picture of perfect trust, nothing hidden, nothing defended, no part of the self kept back in case it should be used against you. We have all spent our lives since trying to get back to a single afternoon like that. Hold the image, because on the very next page, the shame arrives. And now we come to it. The hinge of the whole human story, the chapter that explains the evening news, the chapter every one of us reenacts before lunch. It opens, as ruin so often does, not with a roar but with a question, asked very softly, by something clever in the grass.
Now the serpent was more crafty than any beast of the field which Yahweh God had made. And he said to the woman, Indeed, has God said, You shall not eat from any tree of the garden?
Listen to the craft of it. Indeed, has God said you shall not eat from any tree? It is a lie wearing the costume of a question. God said nothing of the kind. He forbade exactly one tree out of thousands. But the serpent quietly swaps the words, and suddenly God sounds stingy, a withholder, a spoiler of fun. The first move of temptation is almost never go and sin. It is the gentler one, are you quite sure God is good?
And the woman said to the serpent, From the fruit of the trees of the garden we may eat, but from the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden God said, You shall not eat from it, and you shall not touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said to the woman, You surely will not die. For God knows that in the day you eat from it your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil.
Now the mask comes off, and the half-truth does its deadly work. He will not die, he will be like God. There is just enough truth in it to be lethal. Their eyes really will be opened, which is what makes it so cruel. The serpent dangles the one thing they already had. They were already like God, made in his image, already his honored children. He persuades them to grab at, as theft, the very gift they were freely given.
Then the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was desirable to make one wise. So she took from its fruit and ate, and she gave also to her husband with her, and he ate.
Watch how the writer slows down for the catastrophe. Good for food, a delight to the eyes, desirable to make one wise, appetite, beauty, ambition, the same three hooks that catch us all still. And then four small verbs that crack the world. She took, and ate, and gave, and he ate. Notice the quiet detail, with her, he was with her the whole time. Adam stands right there and says nothing. Sometimes the loudest sin in the room is a silence.
And the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves loin coverings.
Their eyes were opened, just as promised, and the very first thing those newly wise eyes see is that they are naked. The serpent was right, and the serpent was a liar both at once. The knowledge they brought turns out to be the knowledge of their own exposure, and their first act as wise creatures is to hide, to sow leaves, to start the long human craft of covering up. Innocence, once spent, does not come back to the till.
Then they heard the sound of Yahweh God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh God in the midst of the trees of the garden.
And here is the heartbreak hidden in a single phrase: the sound of Yahweh God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. It sounds like habit, like something that used to be the best part of the afternoon. God comes for his usual walk with his friends, and for the first time, his friends are in the bushes. The tragedy of the fall is not first a broken rule. It is a broken walk.
Yahweh God called to the man and said to him, "Where are you?" And he said, "I heard the sound of you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid."
Where are you? The first question God asks a fallen human being is not an accusation but a search. He, who knows everything, comes looking, calling. It is the question the whole rest of the Bible is, in a sense, God asking, over and over, of a race gone to ground. And the man's answer is the saddest inventory in literature: I heard, I was afraid, I was naked, I hid. 4 little verbs of a soul coming apart.
And he said, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree of which I commanded you not to eat?" And the man said, "The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave to me from the tree, and I ate." Then Yahweh God said to the woman, "What is this you have done?" And the woman said, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate."
Watch the blame travel. The man blames the woman, and slips in a bar, but God, while he is at it, the woman whom you gave to me. The woman blames the serpent. Everyone has a defense, and no one will simply say, I did it. It is the oldest move we have, and the most human. The very first thing sin does to a family is teach it to point. Eden ends not with a bang, but with 3 creatures all looking at someone else.
And Yahweh God said to the serpent, "Because you have done this, cursed are you more than any of the cattle, and more than every beast of the field. On your belly you will go, and dust you will eat all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise you on the head, and you shall bruise him on the heel."
And now, astonishingly, in the middle of the curse comes a promise. He shall bruise you on the head, and you shall bruise him on the heel. The old theologians gave this verse a grand name, the Protevangelium, the Gospel before the Gospel, because they heard in it the first far-off rumor of a deliverer, an offspring of the woman who would one day crush the serpent, taking a wound to the heel to do it. The very first sermon of grace is preached, of all places, inside the sentence of judgment.
To the woman he said, "I will greatly multiply your pain and conception. In pain you will bear children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you." Then to Adam he said, "Because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten from the tree about which I commanded you, saying, You shall not eat from it. Cursed is the ground because of you. In pain you will eat of it all the days of your life. With thorns and thistles it shall grow for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your face you will eat bread, till you return to the ground, because from it you were taken. For you are dust, and to dust you shall return."
By the sweat of your face you will eat bread, till you return to the ground, for you are dust, and to dust you shall return. There it is, the first mention of death, and notice it is spoken almost gently, like a doctor giving a hard diagnosis kindly. The ground that gave him life will now resist him, and finally receive him back. Work becomes toil, life becomes mortal, and the long ache of every human story, the thorn in everything, begins right here in a sentence about bread.
Now the man called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all the living. Then Yahweh God made garments of skin for Adam and his wife, and he clothed them.
And before they are sent away, God does something quietly devastating. He makes them close. Their own fig leaves were not enough, so he provides garments of skin, which means, unavoidably, that something had to die to cover them. It is the first death, the first sacrifice, the first time innocent blood is spilled to clothe the guilty. The whole long logic of the Bible is already here, folded small, in a father stitching coats for children he is about to discipline.
Then Yahweh God said, Behold, the man has become like one of us to know good and evil. And now, lest he send forth his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever, therefore Yahweh God sent him out from the Garden of Eden to cultivate the ground from which he was taken. So he drove the man out, and at the east of the Garden of Eden he stationed the cherubim and the flaming sword which turned every direction to guard the way to the tree of life.
So he drove the man out, and set a flaming sword to guard the way to the tree of life. It reads like the cruelest line in the book, and it is, in fact, a mercy. Imagine living forever in a fallen state, deathless and ruined with no way back. The locked gate is God refusing to let that happen. And notice the direction. They go out to the east, and the rest of the Bible will spend itself trying to get them home again, all the way to another garden, and an empty tomb, and a gate thrown open at last. 3 chapters, and already the whole human predicament is on the table. A good world, a good God, a dignity given to every one of us, and a freedom we have used, from the very first afternoon, to hide in the bushes from the one who comes looking. But notice what we are left holding as the gate closes. Not only a curse, but a promise, an offspring who will crush the serpent, and a father who clothes his children before he sends them out. The story is heartbreaking. It is not hopeless. If this reading was a gift to you, the gift is not ours, it is the Lockman Foundation's, whose Legacy Standard Bible we have read by permission tonight. You will find them at lsbible.org and at 316publishing.com, and the full notice is in the description below, with the links. Go and read the chapters for yourself, we have only walked you to the door. Scripture quotations taken from the Legacy Standard Bible, abbreviated LSB, copyright 2021 by the Lockman Foundation, used by permission, all rights reserved, managed in partnership with 316 Publishing. That is the beginning of the beginning. Thank you for sitting with the whole of it. Until next time, mind the footnotes, and beware the folly.